Again, my name is Taz Khalil. I'm the product manager for a product at Broan called Overture. Overture, if you have been kind of following along with us in the series, is a product that manages indoor air quality through sensors, right? Um, and what we want to do with this series is kind of give integrators and individuals that work with technology to set up the Overture system a little bit of background as to what are the products that they're controlling and what are the key kind of reasons we use these devices to improve indoor air quality as opposed to something like perhaps a purifier or other common indoor air quality products. And the real kind of, I'll say, product that Broan Newton focuses on from an individual perspective is exhaust fans. In our company, like our running joke is that these are called fart fans, right? Because they help clear odors and all sorts of other stuff. But generally speaking, right, I'll say the more structured name for it in our company is exhaust ventilation. And just kind of going through here, Broan does more than just exhaust ventilation, but with our bath fans, that's kind of like our bread and butter. That's what we developed originally, and that's what we have kind of stuck with as one of our kind of biggest products, to be honest with you. That we have a very recognizable brand and a very recognizable kind of message with our products and how they work. If you go to your bathroom anytime or go to a different bathroom or whatever, I think it's like 60% of them will have a single Broan product in them. So there's a lot of opportunity there, a lot of products, like I mentioned earlier, that are made by Broan, but again, are just kind of hidden and you might not know until you look at them. And with our integrators, again, with Overture, we focus on kind of connecting these key pieces of ventilation to improve indoor air quality. But just kind of stepping back from that and taking a look at the actual devices themselves, what we notice is all of the groups within Broan Newton, whether it's the group that works on fresh air systems or ventilation fans or range hoods, are all very focused on doing one thing. They're developing kind of technology that focuses on efficiency. They want to make these installs fast, easy. They want to save contractors time and money, right? Anything that we can do to make that process simpler and quicker, it's going to be an opportunity for us to essentially understand how that contractor puts things together and where are the areas that we can improve it. And we do the same thing with the Overture product, of course. We understand how you guys kind of install the product and put it all together. But on kind of a flip side, there's a number of different, I'll say homeowner focused products or homeowner focused technologies like, LED colored lights, antibacterial lights, different form factors and things like that I'll go through today that, again, when paired with the Overture system can create a very happy homeowner, right? One that likes their product from not just an indoor air quality perspective, but from an aesthetic perspective. And when we're talking about ventilation, right, when we talk about the different types of ventilation there is in the home, there's really three types. And with bath fans specifically, what we're always referring to is exhaust ventilation, meaning, in a specific room, right, something like a bath fan where these products are typically located, what we're trying to do is essentially use the product as source control, right? Think about the things that we do, excuse me, think about the things that we do in our bathrooms, right? Whether it's cleaning, whether it's taking a shower, using things like hairspray, cosmetics, whatever it may be, all of that stuff that we're doing within our bathrooms, right, are degrading our indoor air quality. They're creating odors, they're adding chemicals in the air, they're adding humidity, right? The moisture on the walls and the mirrors that we get out of the shower to find ourselves in the morning. All these products, right, or all these things that we're doing in there create poor indoor air quality and very concentrated poor indoor air quality at that. And really, one of the best ways to get rid of a concentration of poor indoor air quality is just to get rid of it, right? Is to basically take it and throw it outside of your house. And that's the premise of exhaust ventilation. Again, we do that with bath fans, but another example of exhaust ventilation is something like a range hood over your kitchen, right? We know that when you're cooking, you're creating all sorts of odors and poor pollutants within the space. And so we put a range hood right above the cooktop, right? We don't put it like 10 feet away. We put it right above the cooktop because we know that's where that's going to happen. And, with the same thing, oftentimes you'll see bath fans either placed directly over toilets or directly over showers so that they can get rid of that moisture as fast as they possibly can. The other two kind of methods for ventilation are ones that we'll touch on in, I'll say, other trainings. But what we do is we actually are able to do the opposite, right? So from a supply ventilation perspective, what we do there is we actually bring fresh air into the house, right? So we positively pressurize the house. We're able now to filter incoming air by doing so. So with exhaust, right, there's no filtration going on. You're just kind of exhausting that air out, and you're relying on kind of that negative pressure to pull air from the adjacent room and the rest of the house to pull it up and out of the home. When you flip it and you do supply ventilation actually, again, provides you with a single point of entry, and therefore you can filter that single point of entry. And now you're doing the opposite, right? Positively pressurizing your home. Ideally, in most cases, and in every home that we try to push product to, we push for balanced ventilation. And that's really using either a combination of both products, like the ones on the left here, or using something like an ERV or an HRV that kind of does both the exhaust and the supply at the same time. So when we look at kind of the Overture devices and what we have in the market that's able to kind of address and connect these products, when we talk about exhaust products, what we really are focusing on is the wall control, right? This is the way that we're able to use this product, right, to connect to the bath fan, right? It's wired directly. The air quality sensors and the communication is all built within the actual wall control itself. The bath fan itself does not have the smarts built in, right? It's an on-off product. And what we're doing is using these sensors, right, in conjunction with this ventilation device to say when indoor air quality goes bad, or when, poor levels of humidity rise, what we want to do is turn that bath fan on, right? In many cases, people don't know when to turn things on, when to turn things off, how long to do it for, whatever it may be, right? And with that, there's now a system that, again, at a very affordable, very accessible price, can allow you to automate this entire environment by just looking at what you have inside of your home, automatically doing it for you. One of the key pieces to all of this is that humans specifically cannot detect. I think I just lost it. There it is. One of the key pieces that I mentioned earlier was, again, humans and individuals cannot detect bad indoor air quality. So if you rely on your individual senses to say, hey, there's a poor indoor air quality within my space, you're not going to be as good of a sensor as you think you are. Certain pollutants like CO2 or certain chemicals can't be smelled or felt by just our natural senses. And others, things like particulate matter, for example, are extremely high by the time that we detect them. And so that is one of the kind of key reasons we have the system to do that. We have a question here from Michael. I'm going to just continue to answer these as they come in, so feel free to send them out. The question is, with the wall control, can you use the exhaust fans that do not have smart functions with the system? And yeah, Michael, typically what we recommend, and in the next slides here, I'll kind of cover that, is we actually recommend using exhaust fans that don't have any built-in smart functionality, because all the smart functionality is built into the wall control itself. the Wi-Fi communication, the Bluetooth pairing, the air quality sensing, all of that is built into the actual wall control itself. So you can now use this product both in new construction and in retrofit applications, because all you're doing is replacing a switch and not an entire fan. So with that, you're able to improve indoor air quality, have that sensing built in, still have the manual controls on the switch itself. But again, pairing that with a fan that doesn't have that smart, capability built into it is the way that you should be doing it. All right, thank you. So continuing with the presentation here, again, we as individuals are not very good sensors at detecting poor indoor air quality. And so when we kind of look at, bath fans, generally speaking, and we kind of take a look at the market share, I mentioned Broan is kind of the leader in the market share for these bath fans. So in many of the situations that you're going to see where there's bath fans being installed into a home or bath fans there already, you're going to find our products. If you look at, just North America overall, right? So this is the US and the Canadian market. And you look at, the percentage by competitors, you see Broan takes up a solid chunk. It's about 40% of that market, with Panasonic taking about 21%. And then, the rest kind of spread out over a multitude of different companies. From, a category perspective, we do a lot of work in a multitude of different categories, and I'll explain what those categories are here in just a second. But when you look at the categories, there's actually, a highest number of dollars in what we call our premium category of bath fans. So there's a large percentage of these products from a dollar perspective, right, going into people's homes. When we look at it from a unit perspective, right, not just a dollars perspective, we're going to see kind of a flip, right? We're going to see not that premium is kind of the largest anymore. It's actually fairly small compared to the rest of these. And these are all in kind of millions of units. But we see a fairly large portion of bath fans being what we call basic bath fans, meaning they don't have a certain level of performance or a certain level of sound to them that is fairly good. These are kind of products that are being built at a very cheap level that allows contractors and builders to either replace or put in a fan just to meet code or meet a specific standard. So again, why do we want to focus on good indoor air quality? Why am I kind of telling you all this about these bath fans? And it's really because, when we look at specific homes and when we look at, the best way to build a healthy home, a healthy home really starts with clean air. There's a lot of elements to clean air, and there's a lot of elements to a healthy home. But when you look at, the things that we consume on a daily level, right, whether it's perhaps food, water, and air, right? Air is by far the most important thing, right? You can hold your breath for like 30 seconds, right? You can go, 30 days or whatever without water. You can go, a couple months without food. But, air is such an important factor, and it's the biggest thing that we consume on a day-to-day basis. The other analogy I like to use, it's actually every single day, what you're doing is you're breathing the 6 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of air. And so if you can ensure that that's clean, again, that can make you and your clients healthier over the long run of that time that they're in that home. And again, with bathrooms, right, we have an opportunity here, right, to reduce the levels of pollutants in the home, because we have a product within that space that's able to remove that stuff relatively quickly. And again, we do that through exhaust ventilation, right? Just as a quick reminder to everybody, the kind of 3 ways to ventilate: exhaust ventilation, specifically for source control, supply, and then balanced. And so, again, you might be asking yourself kind of, why do I need to do this? There aren't there rules or regulations around this? And there are, But when you look at the way that people are building their homes today, right, especially in new construction, one of the biggest focuses that they have around new construction is this focus on energy efficiency, right? And you'll see a lot of different codes and standards like ASHRAE or the IECC or Energy Star pushing for additional tightness of homes and the way that they're built. So builders are now almost always using some form of spray foam insulation. They've gotten much better at using higher efficiency windows. So what we've done is we've essentially put a bag around the house, right? Where nothing comes in and nothing comes out until individuals use the ventilation products that they have within their home to make an impact on that. So as these homes are being built, the reliance on the individual flipping that switch, which we know doesn't happen as much as we want it to, but to turn on that fan to remove the pollutants and to ensure that it's continuously running until the humidity or until whatever pollutant is in the air goes away. That is a much bigger deal now than it ever was in the past. And then, of course, in the past 2 years or so, we've had a huge increase in home air quality awareness, right, or IAQ awareness. Almost everyone you talk to now has, PTSD practically from the pandemic and from COVID. And there's been a lot of talk about ventilation, not just in homes, but also in schools, in offices, in multiple different areas. So really now is a great time to kind of push a product like Overture where we're focusing on creating a healthier home for that environment, right? And again, regardless of where you look, whether it's Vogue, whether it's Newsweek, all of these articles, are focusing on indoor air quality. I saw Forbes magazine post the other day about indoor air quality. All different just pieces of information that are growing the need for IAQ and IAQ awareness. So when you're looking for an exhaust ventilation product, right? We talked about why we need it, what product to pair it with the Overture system. But when we look at, what are the things that we need to do to, I'll say, ensure that we're connecting a proper bath fan to the Overture system, there's kind of three main things that we need to look at, right? The first thing is airflow. And I'll touch on that in just a minute here, but the main thing here is an attribute called CFM, or cubic feet per minute. What we're doing with that is basically it's a metric that allows us to understand how powerful that fan is. How much air can that fan move, right? The lower the number, the less air that fan can move. The higher the number, the higher the air that fan can move. And what we want to do, and I'll cover this in just a minute, is ensure that, for that bathroom, at least every square foot within that bathroom has one CFM. So if there's a 50 square foot bathroom or a 100 square foot bathroom, you want to make sure that it's either paired with a 50 or 100 CFM fan. Another thing, again, I talked a little bit more about the kind of basic bath fans that are out there. We create a lot of those too. But what we see is with those products specifically, they have a very high noise level, right? And when you're creating a system, right, where you're looking at automating things like fans, right, things that can create noise and disturbance in an environment, you want to make sure that when you're pairing the Overture system, you select a fan that has a very comfortable noise level, right? There are fans that we sell for $20 that do sound fairly loud. They, you turn them on and they make quite the disturbance. And pairing something like that with the Overture system will create, more, I'll say, disturbance than it would convenience. And so we have fans in our lineup and fans and even competitor lineups that work with the Overture system that allow them to operate very, very quietly. All of these levels are covered in zones, which is kind of the unit of measurement that we use here to compare bath fans. You might be familiar if you work with audio or video with decibels. That's another one. But I'll explain why we use zones in this industry as opposed to decibels in a minute. And then lastly, again, no one is expecting an integrator to put in ductwork or any of this stuff, but one of the key things just to make sure is working properly is the ducting of the actual bath fan, right, needs to be as short and as concise as possible, right? The more bends that you see in that duct work, if you see a U-turn and another U-turn and it's wrapped around a truss and it's going up and out and down and under, the effectiveness of that bath fan is going to decrease. And what we see is specific bath fans, right? If they're the best bath fans in the world, but they're not ducted properly, they're not going to be as effective at removing that air from the outside. So again, doing a little bit of a bigger deep dive, right, on each of these attributes. Again, the main attribute or the one thing that you really need to be worried about is CFM, right? If you're aware of the CFM level within the space and you're looking at the products that are both in our offerings and in competitors' offerings, you'll see a lot of bath fans, I'll say anywhere between 50 and 150 CFM. And depending on the space that you have, depending on what you're trying to accomplish within that space, 50 may be fine, right? If it's a water closet or if it's a small little half bath or, it's trying to cover a fairly tiny area, 50 CFM bath fan will do great. It'll also allow you to have an effective bath fan and also decrease the noise, because normally what will happen is as you increase CFM, there will be a decrease, or sorry, as you increase CFM, there will be an increase in noise level. Although that's not always the case, and I'll kind of explain again in the premium category where there are certain exceptions. So again, higher CFM, always look for anywhere between 1 CFM to 1 square footage of that actual bath fan. And again, you'll see things like 50, 80, up to 150. Again, from your perspective, you just need to be aware of this. You'll typically work with your HVAC contractor in this case, essentially to ensure that everything is put in place prior to connecting it all with the Overture system. The other piece here, again, zones. Zones is the ability for us to, again, compare audio levels 1 to 1. Basically, what we mean by that is, if you have a single zone versus 2 zones versus 3 zones versus 4 zones, it's not like decibels where it's an exponential scale, right? I think with decibels, it's almost like twice as loud every 10 decibels you go up. So 60 decibels, if I remember it correctly, is twice as loud as 50 decibels. Whereas with zones, it's a linear scale, meaning 2 zones is half as quiet as 4 zones. So you can do the math relatively quickly, and it's a lot more user-friendly to be able to say, oh, this is a 1 zone fan and this is a 2 zone fan, so this is twice as loud, right? So it's a very quick kind of comparison to be able to articulate and kind of understand what is the zone levels within that space. If we look at the zone levels here on the right, a couple quick examples, 2 zones is like a calm office. 1 zone is a refrigerator noise. Standard conversation, 3 zones, TV 4, and so on and so on. As far as it relates to noise fans, you're going to see, again, kind of if you look at it from this perspective, basic, intermediate, and noisy. So you can kind of like hear them. We can actually click to hear these. Here's what like a very quiet 1 zone fan would sound like. Is the audio coming through on your guys' end? I just want to make sure.
It's really low.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, right? Especially with a very quiet one, if it's very low. Here's one on the moderate side. Let's see if we can hear this one.
Yep. Yeah.
And then here's what we consider an economy fan, where it's really just a very cheap builder product.
Yep.
So again, you can see how pairing a product like this, that's, 3 zones or more with the wall control, every single time you have poor indoor air quality, you're going to hear this, and your clients aren't going to really appreciate that. So ensuring that you pair it properly would work best. Again, proper ductwork, as an integrator, again, just something to keep an eye out for, not necessarily that you'll actually be running ductwork, but keep an eye out for things like kinks, bends, crushed ductwork, whatever it may be. Make sure that, your HVAC contractor knows what they're doing. Oftentimes we'll find contractors that, just do it their way, quote unquote, and they'll see, all sorts of different poor installations. And ultimately that's going to affect the performance of your product. So 100 CFM fan, maybe 100 CFM, but with poor ductwork it can be greatly reduced. And so again, let's kind of take a quick look or a quick peek at market trends and understand what the categories of each of the bath fans can be, right? Typically you'll see basic, intermediate, and premium, right? Again, basic is I just want an inexpensive fan. I'm a builder or a multifamily builder. I really don't care much about the fan itself. I'll see products in this area anywhere between 50, 80 CFM, and then again, fairly high zone levels. So these are the products, especially if we're controlling them with Overture, we want to avoid. I'd say anywhere between intermediate. Ideally, we shoot for premium with Overture, but we want to have something at least at an intermediate level. What that'll do is it'll increase our CFM up to typically in the kind of 110 to 80 range. You'll see a lot of these being used by kind of green builders, air quality focused homeowners. Again, these are very sleek, very good products, relatively low noise levels like we showcased earlier, and a good product to pair with the Overture system. And then next are our premium bath fans. These premium bath fans, one of the biggest complaints that we get with them is people think they don't work because when they flip the switch, they can't hear the bath fan, which, with a system like Overture, you truly want to ensure that if you're working with a builder, if you're working with a tradesperson or a contractor, that they spec a premium bath fan in, because when that thing goes off due to humidity, or when that thing goes off because the room next to it has a lot of CO2 and it's on for 10, 15 minutes to take care of the problem, if the user doesn't hear it, all the better. Couple of Broan fans, again, are meant to meet codes. So as we've talked before, Overture, can work with other competitor products as well. But, if you're looking at Broan products specifically, every single Broan fan that we create is HVI certified, which is the Home Ventilating Institute. So there is no question as to whether our performance and the power that we state on our products is truly what we say it is. We have governing bodies and codes that look at our products like ASHRAE, IECC. Some of our members here are actually members of these governing bodies as well. So we have a large presence in the industry from that perspective. And then also a lot of our fans are Energy Star. So if you're looking for a product because a builder or an individual is trying to make their home Energy Star certified, we have a fairly large collection of those fans. The other thing too, again, is when you look at code adoption, right? Here's kind of a quick view of 2010, 2015, and 2020 requiring kind of higher end bath fans, higher end products that need to be put into this home in regards to ventilation. So what this slide is really trying to say is it's only getting more and more stringent with these products, and products that only move a small amount of air are slowly being phased out, or products that are very, very loud are slowly being phased out. And when we look again at our category overviews, we as Broan again play a lot in the economy series. There are competitors within this series that focus on this channel. Again, products like Air King and Delta, they play very heavily within the economy series area. Again, here are the two things you guys really should focus on: CFM range, right, 50 to 80, and zone range, 2.5 to 6. What we heard on the high end in that previous item was a 3 zone fan. So, it can be almost double that in certain cases. In our flex intermediate lineup, again, here you see competitors like Panasonic, Revent, people that and companies that create good products. But again, ultimately, in this category, you'll see different features that are kind of catered towards HVAC contractors. Here, you'll also start to see the introduction of lighting, specifically things like LED lighting, dimmable LED lighting, and then on the other side, you'll see things like CFM ranges between 50 and 110, and then zone ranges between 0.3, which is practically inaudible, to 3. And then our premiums line, again, very high-end fans that, again, typically will have even like a larger housing to accommodate the fan, larger ductwork. In this area, you will see our products. You'll see Panasonic, you'll see Delta, and again, they have CFM ranges kind of in the 80 to 150. So, whenever you see a 150 range fan, it's typically a premium product. And again, zone ranges between, 0.3 up to 0.4. So fairly low zone products, quiet, very powerful. You kind of get the best of both worlds. LED lighting as well. And when you pair these types of products with the Overture system, it's kind of a match made in heaven. There are other products too, however. You will see, products that we sell or other people sell, things like Bluetooth fan speakers. You'll also see fans with humidity built into them. And I think Michael asked a great question earlier regarding, pairing these products with the Overture system. And what we typically try to avoid is connecting a product that has any level of smarts built into it. Because what Overture is doing is kind of handling the smarts on the control level, right? So pairing something like a speaker fan, if you will, with the Overture system would cause it to, cut your music out or turn your music on or whatever it may be when your indoor air quality is bad, which is not a really great combination or automation tool. The other side is, you'll see products that have built-in humidity sensors or built-in sensors as well. And we typically want to be very cognizant and careful of those types of products, because what'll end up happening is you'll create a race condition where, Overture may say, hey, I'm telling the fan to turn on, but either it's not, or I told the fan to turn off and it's not. So that control can kind of clash and not create a great system. So we want to find products that, again, have, low zone, high performance, but have no smarts built in. And if you have any questions or concerns about, what should I pair with the Overture system, if you go to our website, if you go to Broan Newtone Overture, you'll see our compatibility list there on our resource center that has over 700 different products that allows us to make your life very seamless, to say that when you're installing this product, this bath fan that's already installed or a bath fan that we are changing out because the bath fan in there is too loud or whatever it may be, is approved and ready to use with the Overture product. There's also, again, in regards to lighting, and this category focuses fairly heavily on lighting, some decorative products, right? And these products are great. These products, like this one here that I'm showcasing, is our recessed fan light. So it's basically a recessed fan can, and there's a light in there that you're able to use that also happens to draw in the air. So you are able to essentially have a very decorative fan in an environment and a very discreet opportunity to improve indoor air quality Again, different options, 70 CFM at 1.5 zones or 50 to 80 CFM at either 0.3 or 2 zones. So you have the ability there to use a product like this with the Overture system. Again, very discreetly and very cleanly improve indoor air quality. Some other products, again, decorative fans. There's products that are meant to mimic, light fixtures or things like that. Same thing, whether it's our product or their products, for this market, if you're looking at a specific clean look, pairing a product like this with the Overture system would work really well because, again, you still have options for CFM levels and fairly low zone opportunities here. So again, I hope that's been a fairly comprehensive overview of, again, the bath fan category. That's really the bread and butter of Broan NuTone and how it works with the Overture system. As we continue on with this series, we'll do another series for rain sheds. We'll do another series for fresh air systems. If you've been following along so far, we've done our what is Overture and then, how to set up an Overture system. And now this is our first of 3 series is talking about the actual products that connect to Overture and some of the key things that you should be looking for.